And welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Sperging Out Podcast. My name is Mitch Grace. I'm the author of the book Growing Up with Asperger's Lessons Learned and Shareable Wisdom, available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook formats on Amazon right now. And I think the audiobook is also on like Apple Podcasts or something. Don't quote me on that. And I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Extraordinaire.
Hello, happy to be here. I'm an in-home therapist for adults with autism, so I know my way around this field, and I'm happy to be on this podcast.
And we are happy to have you as always. And so, last episode, we had a bit of a palate cleanser because a few episodes ago we talked about Love on the Spectrum, which we tore into.
He's still mad about it.
Yeah, I am. I'm still upset about it. And
That's
so.
pretty bad.
And so then the previous episodes, we had a bit of a palate cleanser, talked about, video games, TVs, movie shows that we like and that we were experiencing at the time. Well, now, as we get back into our normal episode routine, we're going to introduce a new segment here, which is called, Why Do Autistic People Like Blank? And so, autistic people stereotypically have have very niche interests. And we're going to be talking about one of those interests here today. Co-host extraordinaire, do you want to introduce the subject?
Sure. I'm the in-house expert on Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, maybe not an expert, but I do actually really like Sonic the Hedgehog, and there's definitely a crossover of people with autism who also very much like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And,
it's very when I think of autistic person and a very intense interest, Sonic the Hedgehog is often one of the interests that comes up. And so, co-host extraordinary, why don't you tell us, why do you think autistic people latch onto Sonic the Hedgehog so much?
This one's really interesting. There have actually been studies done on this specific phenomenon with Sonic, Teletubbies. Oh man, I wish I could remember them all. My Little Pony was another one.
Oh yeah.
They studied all of these shows and found when I say study, mostly they just talked to people with autism and then looked for the connections between the shows. And they came to the conclusion that it's like a couple simple factors. Anthropomorphic animals that have very expressive faces that are easier to read.
Yeah.
And that are bright and colorful, which helps keep attention onto them, especially when you're dealing with children. And they talk about how they feel in a very direct and explicit way. So there's a lot less subtlety in those shows because they're made for kids.
Yeah.
Well, and Sonic, which is, I wouldn't say it's made for kids, but there's some family-centered stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to see Sonic get stabbed and blood everywhere, so it's very much a family-oriented series.
That's Shadow's territory.
Yes, he's the one with the gun. Excuse me. Yeah, this is a man's game about a 3-foot tall hedgehog.
Yeah, but see, all of those things I listed are very colorful, and they all are very expressive. I mean, Teletubbies is obviously the odd one out. They don't say words; they just make creepy noises.
Yeah, they just speak gibberish.
But the point is that they're all easy to read, and when you're someone with difficulty picking up on social cues. When they have difficulty picking up on social cues, these shows are much more attractive because they make it very obvious. Very wide, big facial expressions.
They're easy to read.
Mm-hmm. And talking about their emotions in a very explicit way. And just things in general, like the moralizing. When My Little Pony was super popular, I don't know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? I don't know.
Before COVID, I think.
Yeah, there was this huge spurt of popularity where, I feel like half the people I know, even people who aren't on the autism spectrum, were talking about this children's show like it was the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
And I watched some episodes. It was fine, but it was mostly the fact that it made really straightforward moral lessons and was just very explicit and easy to watch,
easily digestible.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting because, I mean, like you said, Sonic the Hedgehog, the series, because it's a video game series. It's the cast of characters they all have very easily identifiable silhouettes as well as colors. Like, if it's blue, it's Sonic. If it's yellow, more than likely the Tails. If it's red, probably Knuckles. Black, Shadow. And so on and so forth. Pink, Amy. Amy Rose. The green, probably the Crocodile Dude.
And even when you get into the more secondary or tertiary characters, they're all specific animals with specific color schemes and specific traits.
Yeah.
And they're very of all the things you could say at Sonic, the characters are all extremely well designed. They're
Yeah.
very iconic in a way where like you can see Sonic, and even someone who doesn't care about Sonic will know that's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Like, it's not quite Mario levels of recognizability, but it's up there.
Yeah.
And then, and then each character, especially the main one, has a gimmick. Sonic, he goes fast. Tails flies. Knuckles, he's the strong one, and whatnot. So, and then the gameplay most of the times is centered around that fact: Sonic going fast. It's exhilarating. It's like when you do go at hyper fast speeds, it is fun. And so I can see and autistic people latching on to it, like, oh, I just want to keep doing this.
And with the amount of Sonic games there's a humongous amount of lore and world building and story, and it's not really consistent or even well written. But there's a lot to digest. There's a lot of content, and people who are like, this is my comfort zone, I feel comfortable with Sonic, have a lot of content to engage with.
Exactly. And so, and then there's also, and because. So the fact that I want to circle back to the designs for a minute, because yes, there are anthropomorphic animals, but at the same time, like, they don't look a whole lot like their basis. The animals, like Sonic does not look like a hedgehog, Tails does not look like a fox, Knuckles does not look like an echidna. Like, so they all have like slender, like oval-like torsos, and then long, flimsy pool noodle ass limbs, and then they have their hands and feet.
Yeah.
And then very identifiable face
and they're
head.
they're all designed to be like really easy to animate, so they're like very, I guess, cartoonishly animated. The long arms and the long legs and the very big hands and feet.
Yeah, kind of like Mickey Mouse.
Like Mickey Mouse or Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Look,
sorry, I felt physical pain saying that one.
Yeah, we're gonna need to talk about Kingdom Hearts here at some point.
Oh, no.
But
we'll have a lore through. We'll talk about all the story of Kingdom Hearts and how it totally makes sense and is easy to follow.
And then by the end of that episode, you will understand. You will get it whenever we say Aqua got Norded. You will know what that sentence means.
That does happen. That everything you said is true. I'll have a mental breakdown if we go over the story of those games.
Same here. We'll talk about a different series instead, like Metal Gear Solid. Anyways,
mental breakdown going over the story of that game too.
That's the joke. But yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog. I bring up their Mickey Mouse-esque designs because that lends itself to another aspect of why autistic people, or at least why there seems to be an intense adoration for the Sonic franchise amongst autistic people, which is the ability to make an OC. Yes. And when I say OC, you mean an original character.
Self-insert.
Yes, a self-insert. The most famous one, ironically, is called Cold Steel the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And where, the final boss of his universe is Kevin Robinson from School.
Yeah.
But
he likes 9 Inch Nails, the Nails, and the band.
Yes. And then... But like the OC, it literally lends itself to the Sonic franchise because it's not difficult to make a character within the Sonic universe. Like you can make a elephant in the Sonic universe. You just make the pool noodle arms, and then the hands and feet, and then just do the elephant ears and the trunk, and boom, you have a character.
And then pick a color that isn't gray. It's gotta be a weird color.
Yes, and so
it's kind of like this is gonna be controversial. It's kind of like Funko Pops, where there's a base standard kind of Funko Pop silhouette and shape, and they just add features to make them distinct. It's kind of the same way with Sonic characters, where it's like you take the body shape that every Sonic character uses, except for like Big the Cat. Yeah. And then you just add the features to whatever animal you want it to look like. So trunk or hedgehog spines or big ears, whatever. Mm-hmm. Then you make it a certain color, and that's your character.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like the Sonic franchise actually weaponized this, or I guess I should say monetized this autism, because there's a game that came out a few years ago called Sonic Forces, and the point of the game is that when you're not playing a Sonic, you make your own Sonic character with its own colors, with its own animal features and whatnot.
I didn't know that. I didn't play Sonic Forces.
Really? I am shocked you did not know this.
I play a lot of the Sonic games, but when it comes to the 3D ones, I think I stopped at like Adventure 2.
That's a long time ago.
Because the ones after that weren't very good.
Ooh, shots fired. I'd recommend Colors. I would recommend you try Sonic Colors, maybe Sonic Frontiers if you like Breath of the Wild and open world stuff, and then...
and Shadow the Hedgehog. He's got a gun.
I mean, a part of me wants to say, yeah, go ahead and play it just so I can see.
I've played Shadow the Hedgehog. It's not good.
Oh yeah, no, the game is like functionally, it's not good. It's not good. No. But then, but yeah, like they did. I don't know what the sales figures were for Sonic Forces, but like the fact that you got to make your own OC in the game, it's like that is genius marketing on the.
I'm surprised they hadn't done it earlier, to be honest.
I mean. I want to say the OC Sonic characters is much more of a Western thing, like in Europe and this side of the Atlantic Ocean. I'm not sure how much of that presence exists in Japan, which is where Sega is based. So,
yeah, sorry, I was thinking about making Sonichu and
Sonic
Forces. I hope you can.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you can.
Now I had to play it.
I guarantee. Someone probably already has. Ironically.
Oh yeah, if I Google it, I mean, Chris Chan may have done it himself.
Yeah, and if you don't know who
we'll
Chris,
talk about him another time. It's probably not for this podcast.
Oh God, if you don't know who Chris Chan is, good. Blessed be the ignorant.
Don't
and
look him
whatnot.
up.
Yeah, don't look him up, and just don't. And then don't look up 2 Girls 1 Cup. Just don't do it.
Wow. Okay, that came out of left field.
I mean, Chris Chan is out of left field. His mere existence is.
We're talking about Sonic. You can't. It's not left field.
Well, that's true. That's true. And then.
Also the Sonic movies. I just want to bring them up because I'm really in love with those movies for being so good.
I've heard good things about the Sonic movies.
They're both really fun.
I haven't seen them.
Just exceptionally fun. Like, I went in thinking they were going to be terrible because, it's a Sonic live-action movie. And they were great. They were unhinged in the best way possible, and Jim Carrey is the best Eggman. Best Eggman ever. And Eggman's my favorite character, so.
Are you looking forward to the 3rd movie with Keanu Reeves voicing Shadow?
Absolutely. When they announced that, I was like, that is the funniest idea I've ever heard in my life. They got Idris Elba as Knuckles, which is wild.
Are you, do you think they're going to murder that child on screen for Shadow's backstory?
God, I hope so. Maria.
Because that's what happens in the actual game.
Are they going to give her NIDS? The fictionalized version of AIDS?
Oh, that's what was wrong with her? I thought she got shot.
Yeah, no. In Sonic Adventure 1, 2? Oh, man, I get them mixed up. Shadow's story is that he's in love with this girl who has NIDS. And they're like... It's like, I can't remember what NID stands for, but it's just like a clearly unoriginal stand-in for AIDS. And the whole story is Shadow curing the disease. And you're like, you wrote this? You put this in the game? No one stopped you and went, what are you doing?
Why is
Shadow in love with a human girl?
I thought, I haven't played Adventure 2, but I thought the story was just like, was Shadow's like a Mewtwo sort of thing where it's like, hey, he's being experimented on and whatnot.
Yeah.
But there's only one person in the whole facility treats him nicely, and it's this little girl named Maria, and then the facility gets attacked and she gets shot and killed, and then Shadow swears vengeance. I thought that was the story.
I think she does get shot and killed.
She
I
does.
don't remember.
Because that was
it's
the whole...
a bit of a blur. But I do remember NIDS being a plot point and me being like, why are you doing this? Don't put this in the game. I just wanted to run fast.
I saw so many memes when they announced that, hey, Shadow's in the 3rd movie and Maria's going to be in it, as well as Gerald Robotnik. I'm like, I saw so many memes where it's like Kratos from the first God of War game, where it's like, Sega, murder this child on screen and my life is yours.
Yes. I mean... the first movie is good, it's wholesome, it's well written, and it's only a little unhinged. It's mostly just fun. The second movie, they just gave up and were like, take out all the heartfelt parts and just make it completely unhinged from beginning to end. Where it feels like you're watching the first movie just amped up to 11, where you're like, what is happening right now? So I can totally see them in the 3rd movie killing that kid. Keanu Reeves will walk up as Shadow the Hedgehog with a gun and shoot someone for killing his child girlfriend. Maybe they'll cut that part out.
They made. I don't know, because they recently did a Shadow-esque version of the Sonic Generations game.
I heard it was really good actually.
Yeah, and they bring back Maria and I think Gerald Robotnik, and Shadow talks with their ghosts and whatnot, and Maria's telling Shadow, hey, move on, buddy. Yeah. Just
bro.
Yeah, hey, what happened to me kind of sucked, but
put the gun down.
Yeah, literally, put the gun down. So, I'm very curious what they changed for the movie, because killing a kid on screen I mean, we haven't seen that since what, like
Yeah.
Bridge to Terabithia?
Yeah, unless this is an Uwe Boll film, I don't think it's gonna happen.
What a piece of shit that guy is.
I know, right?
He
I do love the interview for Postal where he's like, they were asking, why'd you have all those children get shot in that one scene in the Postal film? And he's like, oh, they told me I could not shoot children, and I thought it'd be funny to shoot children, so I put it in the movie. That's his response.
Jesus Christ.
And you're like, what is... Why?
Good Lord. Well,
Sorry.
yeah, we've gone on quite a bit of a tangent away from Sonic the Hedgehog. So,
But Sonic's great.
yes, there is. Okay, so I actually do want to touch on something because I remember when I was in high school. These people are going to remain nameless. There were two classmates of mine that really liked Sonic, and like there's a point where your obsession with Sonic the Hedgehog does go too far.
Yeah.
Like I know this one guy, again, not gonna say his name, but he would, when costume day in our high school, he would put on like a Sonic head and whatnot, and he would go up to people he knew and would tag him and say, "You're too slow," and then he'd run away. Like he wouldn't do that to teachers. He wouldn't do that to like people he doesn't know. But he would do that.
Awesome.
What I appreciate is that he knew, okay, I can't do this with normal people because I'm gonna look dumb. But if I do this to someone who knows me and gets it, like, hey, this is a bit, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, oh, okay, that's expressing it in a semi-healthy way because I say semi because other people are watching who aren't gonna get that's a bit, but
It's pretty. That kind of makes it better. Now for next year for Halloween, I want to dress up as Sonic the Hedgehog and do that. Though I think that might be offensive. I'm not sure if I wear a Sonic outfit to work. Is that rude? I don't know. Maybe we'll put that idea in the back burner. I'll think about it till next year.
That's an interesting point.
But I like that idea. I remember there was a kid in my school. This must have been middle school. But he would always run with his arms behind his back like Sonic does.
I thought that was I thought it was a Naruto thing.
He did it for Sonic because this is before Naruto got really popular, or before we were old enough to watch Naruto. But yeah,
well,
I remember
Sonic does do that.
I remember there was a kid who'd run around with his arms behind his back because it made him faster.
Yeah, even though that's not how aerodynamics work, but
Yeah.
so this is an example of that first guy I just talked about. He was an example of a guy who knows when to reel it in and not to keep his Sonic fandom in check. This other kid, younger kid who I rode the bus with, if you ever so slightly said, "Hey, Sonic isn't that great," he would get really mad and he would start borderline screaming. And we are inside of a metal bus, so his voice echoed and we could hear him all the way in the back. And I'm just like, dude, get over yourself. Also, take it. Like, just deal with it.
It's a media property.
Yeah, and then also, it got to the point where other kids on the bus would just start randomly saying, "Hey, man, you know what game I fucking hate? Sonic the Hedgehog." And just to get a rile out of that kid. And it worked.
Sonic and Knuckles, 2 out of 10.
Sonic Unleashed, 0 out of 10. What even is this game?
I have a good story for that, too. I have a friend who worked at a special needs tech school teaching kids how to make rhythm games.
Oh.
And he had to teach other classes. So that was his primary class and why they hired him. But like when you're a teacher at these kind of schools, you have to teach other secondary classes that are like base level stuff. So he's just teaching general game design, and they were talking about open world games, and one of the students was going on about Sonic. And to be clear, these are all 18 to 20 year olds. This is a college like age group. So my friend went, the 3D Sonic games aren't really that good. The 2D ones are much better. He got fired the next day.
What?
The kids the teenagers and adults got really mad, and they told the principal, and the staff had to have a conversation, my friend. And my friend went, "How am I supposed to teach a class if I can't say things like 2D Sonic is better than 3D Sonic? I'm trying to teach them how to make good games and not bad games." And the staff were like, "You've touched the sacred cow. I'm sorry, you're fired."
Are you joking?
Yeah, he got fired for that one.
What?
That, and he did a tangent in one of his classes because a kid kept talking about how Halo 3 is an open world game, and he had to be like, Halo 3 is not an open world game. And that kid had a meltdown. Halo 3 is not an open world game.
No, it's not. It's
also,
very
the
linear.
Sonic 2D games are better than the Sonic 3D games.
Sonic Mania is better than Adventure 2, Heroes, and then Frontiers and Colors combined.
Sonic and Knuckles is like maybe the best Sonic game.
It's a very solid 2D platformer.
But yeah, my friend got fired for that. So like
Wow.
that kind of emphasizes how like some people can get a little too obsessed with media properties and take it personally. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen the media responses to like the Star Wars movies or shows not being very good, and people like literally recording themselves crying. And it's like, it's a movie, dog. You're an adult.
Like, I mean, there's this when the Rise of Skywalker trailer got released, and there's this one guy who got memed to hell and back on because it was just him crying. He was like, "Oh my god, they're doing this and this and oh my god."
I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, and he was just crying. I'm like, dude, it's fucking Star Wars.
Yeah, and those are assumingly neurotypical people. I mean,
what?
Neurotypical people who haven't touched grass in a long time is social media.
So,
but people with autism, I mean, that obsession can become extreme.
Yes. And so how to know if your obsession is getting extreme? First off, if Sonic the Hedgehog is the only thing you talk about, that's a sign. Okay, so here's some examples of how to keep your obsession in check. Well, first, don't talk about it all the time. You're going to want to talk to other people about other things. Because, like, wearing... also insisting on dressing up like a Sonic the Hedgehog character, kind of, don't do that. If insisting on showing every single one of your classmates your Sonic OC, just never mind, you might want to just dial that down a notch. Only show that to people who are genuinely interested in seeing your drawing. Other than that, you might want to keep it to yourself. And then, just if you're talking to someone about Sonic and a person is giving you one-word answers, not really looking you in the eyes and saying, "Oh, cool, yeah, whatever," that's probably a sign to, hey, dial it back a bit.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you not to like the thing you like or tell people about it, but I think when it comes to, like, in a therapeutic sense, it's important to be able to tell when someone's not interested.
Yeah.
So, like, if someone's giving you short, curt responses or not making eye contact or not asking follow-up questions, they probably do not care. And also, another good thing to learn, it's a difficult skill, is to how to tell a story or talk about something you care about that's very personal to you in a way that other people can empathize with. So like, you can talk about playing Sonic the Hedgehog to someone who's never played Sonic the Hedgehog, but you have to talk about it in a way where you understand what they know and what you know is different, which obviously very difficult for people with autism. So like, talking about how you enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog because there's this thrill of going fast and jumping and timing everything just right, and it feels like almost like driving a race car.
Yeah.
You know, there's that smoothness and the feeling of control even when you're going fast. To be able to describe that in the way I just did, where I'm not going on and on about things that no one else will understand.
Yeah.
So that's an important skill that a lot of people with autism actually have, obviously struggle with.
Yeah, you attach the elements of real world, I guess, feelings into, hey, this is how I feel when playing this game.
Because everyone knows what it feels like to, have fun and enjoy going fast. So that's a good way to, like, engage someone who doesn't know anything about Sonic.
Exactly. Another thing you could do if you're in high school, well, I'm actually not sure about this, but if you want to interact with people who also like Sonic, I don't want to say, hey, you could start a Sonic club. But that's kind of inviting people to bully you, and that's why I'm hesitant about that.
I would not do that.
You could join a video game club and and you could see, hey, do any of y'all play Sonic? And then you can say, oh, are these like Call of Duty players or RPG players or strategy players or platformers players, like an Astrobot or a Mario or a Sonic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's someone else who likes Sonic. The games are genuinely fun.
Yeah, some of them are.
Some of them are.
And then you have, then if you're in college, and that's a lot easier, you can start your own Sonic club because no one's going to give a shit.
Oh yeah, you start a Sonic club in college and people are going to think it's cool. Like no, like I don't know why there's that distinction, but like in high school everyone's judgmental, in college no one cares.
Yeah, like all the cliques and all the like, oh my gosh, this person's so popular, that goes away in college. Like the social structure of college compared to high school is just so much better.
Yeah, it's a lot more daunting, a lot scarier. I mean, we had a whole episode about going to college.
True.
But like, once you're there and you get used to it, it's actually so much nicer because you really are allowed to be who you want to be.
Exactly.
And flourish in a way that high school does not allow.
Yeah, like, so you can, wear your Sonic hood, Sonic the Hedgehog, spike hood.
I really thought you were gonna say wear your Sonic costume. I was like, maybe there's some limit still.
I mean, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Absolutely, but like, yeah, you can do that. No one. I mean, you will get judged, but no one's gonna be like, hey, take that off.
I kind of feel like, honestly, if you're in base level classes and you wear like a Sonic the Hedgehog outfit like every day to class, people would just think it's funny. It's like wearing your like onesie or your sleeping clothing to class. Yeah. Everyone just kind of gets it. We're like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but if you're going to your like senior level engineering course in a Sonic outfit, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot. So
yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah, like if you're presenting a project in your quantum mechanics class and you're dressed up with with two tails coming out of your pants, no one's gonna take you that seriously, if at all.
Unless it's related to the presentation you're doing. I could see an engineering student doing some presentation about like the speed of light or physics and then using Sonic as an example.
Yeah. Watch its presentation start out like the B-movie script. It's like, physically, a hedgehog should not be able to travel that fast. But in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog...
Why do the rings make him faster?
And then, what have we not covered regarding Sonic? Because, like...
I mean, yes. Sonic's a pretty, like... Even to a layperson, I think a lot of people can understand why people on the spectrum like Sonic.
Yeah,
it's just the cartoonish expressiveness really does make it a lot easier.
Also, the environment Sonic is in. He's in, like, Green Hill Zone's iconic. He's also in, like, power plants. He's in space a few times.
Yeah.
He's in tropical islands. He's in jungles. He's in... the variety of environments Sonic is in, and... Like, I can see an autistic person being like, oh, I want to see what the next environment is. I want to see this next area that I'm going to blaze through at lightning fast speeds.
I think it's also, like, at the right age range transitionally where, like, you can be a little kid and like Sonic, you can be a teenager and like Sonic, you can be an adult and like Sonic, and it's not really that weird at any stage of life. Like, because Sonic the Hedgehog has kind of a breadth of maturity to it where it's like an adult can appreciate Sonic the Hedgehog as much as a teenager, as much as a child could.
Exactly.
Whereas like My Little Pony is really mostly for kids and like,
and for not only for kids but for like kid girls.
Yeah.
Like not, it's not a show for boys, it's a show for girls.
Yeah.
That's their primary demographic.
Yeah. Whereas Sonic just has a wide spread, so like I don't know. It's also that time when like I feel like a lot of people get into Sonic when they're like the angsty teenage phase and they're just going through puberty. Really? And so it like gives them that comfort of being like, oh, this is something that I still like and it's cool and I liked it when I was a kid and I'll continue to like it.
And then, they have a character they can identify with Shadow.
Oh, yeah. I prefer Big the Cat. I'm kidding. I don't identify with Big the Cat. He's scary. I actually hate Big the Cat. He's so creepy.
Did you know he's voiced by the same guy who voices Duke Nukem?
No, John St. John. Really?
Yeah, that's him.
I had no idea.
Same voice actor.
No.
Yes.
Does he still do Fiverr? If he still does Fiverr, I'm sending him $5 to do a Big the Cat impression.
I don't know
if get Froggy.
I don't know if John St. John's on Cameo or whatever, but you could check.
Gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah, there's he's there, and then Sonic's I think Sonic's attitude, it kind of his snarkiness and quips also helps his popularity because it's like, oh, he's so funny, man. I'm an attitude man. I'm gonna grapple onto that. I'm gonna identify with that. And then
it's like just the right amount of edge.
Yeah, and you're like, and then your parents could be like, hey, son, how you doing? And then you could be like, psh, nothing personnel, kid, or
just eating a chili dog.
And just.
Then you upgrade to Shadow. No, you don't upgrade to Shadow.
Don't
upgrade.
Shadow. That's when the people start buying guns, and they're like, no, don't do that.
I always liked Eggman. Something about the fact that he's a grown-ass man who's also a brilliant scientist, and his arch enemies are like 10-year-old animals. There's a scene in Sonic Adventure 2 where he holds a gun to Tails' head. Tails is 8 years old, by the way, just so everyone knows. He holds a gun to Tails' head and says, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to nuke the city. Just out of frustration, he's going to like nuke an entire city full of people and kill this 8-year-old. And you're like, yeah, this character's great. He is insane.
Yeah, and then the voice acting is solid as well.
Yeah.
Like the voice direction in the Sonic series, for the most part, is like genuinely really good. Mm-hmm. Like Mike Pollock, who's the voice of Eggman, 10 out of 10 performance.
Yeah.
And then of course Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. That's gonna drive.
Jim Carrey is such a good Eggman. It's such a perfect pick.
That's gonna attract so many people into the Sonic franchise that like just thought, oh hey, yeah, Sonic. That's a casual. I like it casually. But then they said, see Jim Carrey, and like, oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, imagine getting in a time machine and going like 20 years ago and be like, there's gonna be a Sonic movie, live action. It's gonna have Jim Carrey, Idris Elba, and Keanu Reeves. And Ben Schwartz? Is it Ben Schwartz?
Yeah, he voices Sonic.
Yeah, I was like, if you just saying that list of people and saying they're in the same movie, someone would be like, that's not real. Then saying it's a live action Sonic movie, they're like, no, you're making this up.
Right, and then I think Tails retained her. Well, it's a woman voicing a male character, but like Colleen.
Yeah, it's the same voice actress, right?
Yeah, from the games.
Yeah. Sounds just right.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting how they didn't go with a celebrity voice for Tails. That's it.
I don't know who you would get to voice Tails if you were going for celebrities. Like, who has, I almost want to say meme power. Who's just funny as like a concept.
Oh, who's that? Did you ever watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
Who was the redhead who was like the chief's assistant or whatever, like the redhead?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Kristen Shaw.
I don't know her name though. Yeah.
Maybe it's her. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but someone like that.
Sorry, our producer just showed me a sign that said Danny DeVito, and I'm
How's Tails?
I'm lost laughing in my head because that is the funniest. I would pay so much money for Tails to be Danny DeVito or anyone to be Danny DeVito in Sonic 3.
Did you know that someone asked Danny DeVito? So, like, the Detective Pikachu movie came out, and there's a whole meme where it's like, hey, we want Danny DeVito to voice Pikachu. Instead, they got Ryan Reynolds, which makes sense. Yeah. Like, that is a good casting.
Kind of the same person. I'm being sarcastic. That was a joke.
There's someone at a press conference asked, Danny DeVito, hey, would you be interested in voicing Pikachu? And if Detective Pikachu comes out with a sequel, and Danny DeVito says, what the fuck is a Pikachu? So
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And so it's like as much as that would be hilarious, it really doesn't make any sense.
Well, I mean, this is a tangent, but I remember when they interviewed Danny DeVito about being on the show Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Uh-huh.
And when he first got on the show, he didn't think it was funny. He didn't get why it was funny. He was like, people like this show, but I don't get it. We're shooting these scenes, it just seems loud.
Yeah.
And he's like one of the best characters in the show, and it seems like he at no point understood why the show was funny or thought it was funny.
Right. I need to watch that show. That's movie solid.
Okay.
Or that show solid. Excuse me.
Yes.
Anyways, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, back to things that people with autism tend to enjoy.
Yes, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Is there a specific other topic you want to bring up, or should I bring it up?
You should bring it up because it sounds like you have something in mind.
Trains. I want to talk about trains.
And we will talk about that in the next episode.
Okay.
In the next episode of the Sperging Out Podcast. My name is Mitch Grace, and I'm the author of Growing Up with Asperger's, Lessons Learned, and Terrible Wisdom on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and audiobook formats. And right now, and I am joined as always by my co-host extraordinaire.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And catch us next episode where we talk about trains. See y'all later.
That was pretty good. That was a pretty good tease.
Yeah.
I just got to make one adjustment for you.